So what can I do you for?
Oh,
Yeah.
I just was just coming over to see you and listen to your conversation today.
I see you're a lot overweight,
Yes.
and that's not good. It means you have emotions and anxieties, and it requires some pleasure to escape it, to make you comfortable.
Yes.
And food is the comforting aspect. One needs to be very careful because food is dangerous. It's more dangerous than any drug because it carries a program to make it more modern from Paradise Lost. Every person on earth that eats food, even if they're hungry, they eat it like a dog. You can see a person who is very hungry still gracious. They're gracious, but the people who are not gracious, give me this, give me that, like they're dying. You know that. Not that you see many people in this world because there's lots of food in this country, too much.
I take a medicine called Zyprexa medication.
Yeah, it's as good as a toothache.
It actually causes you to be very hungry, and I told my doctor I wanted to come off of it back.
But why do you have a doctor? What is the doctor for?
Schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia. I really want to know what schizophrenia is. Do you? Do you know what it is?
It's an illness.
What's the symptom? That may be more.
Voices, a lot of heavy voices, and
what does the voices say?
sometimes sometimes they make sense, and sometimes they don't.
No, if they make sense, the making sense isn't sense.
Okay.
It's never going to give you any. You are possessed. Yeah, that's it. So we really got somewhere, didn't we, in just a few minutes? Well, that's an interesting thing.
I used to have voices in my mind, and
It's
they
very
would,
common.
they would actually argue with each other. And I would
Very
listen to
interesting.
it. I would listen to them because I knew there was really something wrong with that.
Yeah.
I checked myself into the mental hospital in
You
Stockton,
did
California.
really?
I did.
How long ago was that?
Well, my dad was killed when I was 17, and this is when all my problems in my world started happening.
What did he killed him?
He was killed in a truck accident when I was 17. And when he died, I remember the moment that I felt the authority leave me, because that's what he represented, my authority in my life, all my life.
You had a good father?
I did. I had a good dad. He was a good dad to us, but my parents had a lot of issues between the two. My mother, very, very willful.
I don't know anything else. You can't find anything better than that you just said. Everybody's argued. Every man and woman has a
Right.
bloody great fight.
And I've
Continuously.
realized that. But he was a good dad.
Yeah.
He taught me a lot. He was very patient. But anyway, he was killed when I was 17. That's when all my problems started.
Of course.
My rebellion and everything.
Why would you rebel? Did you hate the person who caused the accident?
I didn't know them. I didn't know them.
Well, what did you?
I hated my mother.
Oh, it's the mother you hated.
It was my mother.
In other words, he kept her under
It was
control.
in the 11th hour of the 11th month of their reconciliation period. He died in California.
Yeah.
They had 12 months at that time. And
And 12 was it what?
reconciliation, they were into a divorce.
Oh, I see.
Right. And,
So is your mother a bitch?
oh, yes, she was. She was very cold.
Is she still, what,
She died in 2013.
how old?
Pardon?
Well, how old was she?
87, 88, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Well, it's too long for a wicked woman. She should have died a long time.
She tempered as she got older, you know, like when your husbands die, you marry Jesus kind of like thing. You start going to church, you know, and well, it's true. It's very common with women because they got to get their comforts from someplace, you know, their security support,
Yes,
I guess.
it's an interesting thing about women. Men have to find it from where Adam found it, to make it simple.
Right.
He has to have an authority. And if he's disconnected from the authority, he has no authority. And that's the problem of all men.
Well-
That's a very simple principle. But women have the opposite. They have the dark side of the force waiting for them. And waiting, why a woman is looking for a husband or a man to marry is instinctive, if I may use that word. They both have different relationships. The man has to have a relationship with God. But when he's born into the world, the line of, let me see, the line of, I lost the words, but from the very beginning of Paradise Lost, the food factor and the need to be corrected factor both come all the way down through the generations in every part of the world. Even ISIS and Schmisis is there. There's something wrong with the relationship, and it's something wrong with every person living, with very few exceptions. I am an exception. I had a decent mother and a decent father. And when my father died, to cut this long story short, and then go on with the point you are talking about, the flesh and blood father, this flesh and blood father had a relationship with God, but he never spoke of it. So when I ask him a question, Dad, what's the meaning of life? He says, the only thing he ever taught me was this. He says, seek a, I can't find the word of it. My brain's going away.
You'll find it for yourself some days.
That's right, find it for yourself.
I've waited
You have
as
to,
long
you
as
have to
I
find
could.
it for yourself. And that is, so when he died, that was in my mind, in my heart, without me realizing it, sort of repeating it over and over again. It was the fact that when he died, I inherited the father of him, but spiritual father. He had the spiritual father, and that's the magic. And that's what women need, and that's what children need. But the trouble is, as I said before, it's essential, absolutely essential, but very rare, because there's so many different ideas about man and woman and marriage and things like that, and who is to be in charge and who is not in charge. And there's so much complication that the poison and the program of food So that I can tell you just a little story. My father was still alive. I think he was. But the story is interesting. I was hungry, and it was lunchtime. So I took an apple, and I put my teeth into it, and she takes it away from me. She's a good woman. She says, "That's not. This is lunch." I said, "Well, I just want an apple." She said, "That's not food. I'll show you what food is." So she takes the apple, and she takes the core out, puts all kinds of beautiful stuff in there, raisins and whatever it is, covered it with sugar of some kind, put it in the oven, and it came out golden around. And she says, "That's dinner." And what she did, she played God. The apple from the tree is from God, and the apple from her is from hell. But she didn't know that. And I didn't know it to the degree I just said it. But I sensed that there's something not good about that. Not to make me angry or anything, but the fact that she saw it that way. The apple from the tree is from God, but the food that the woman makes is from hell. And even if she's a good cook, the better the cook, the worse it is for the man. It should be very simple. You don't need to have all kinds of
Spices.
and you have a book with all the different,
Recipes.
thousands of them. And the wife is always, if anything, looking for the best so she can feel better about giving it to him. And it's very important. And then if she's halfway decent, but that isn't decent when I say halfway decent, she enjoys the pleasure of getting the kids to overeat what she's produced. She feels important. How do you like my food? How do you like my food? And the kids will be eating it and eating and eating it and do not realize what's happening to them. Neither her doesn't realize that.
Mr. Masters,
Yeah, is that making sense?
Yes, sir, it does, but I have something different.
I'm listening.
I'm hearing something from over here. Is the gas or anything on? I'm hearing some kind of a noise, not in your water.
No, it's from the chute. I hear it too.
It's the air going past the chimney.
It's probably be part of the air conditioning.
If the flue is open, maybe.
I don't know. I'm just saying as a precaution.
It could
I
be
have
an
to say
explosive.
something. It could be. Thank you, Chuck.
Conditioning.
Yeah, it shows
It's
you.
just the sound, but I don't think there's anything wrong.
Draft?
I don't smell any gas,
It sounds
but
like the sound of the pilot.
Fan.
it does. It sounds like the sound of a
pilot's there.
pilot.
So we're all
Huh?
set.
It's amazing you could hear that. I can't hear it. But I have a little problem hearing. Hello.
Hi.
Come on in. Come and sit in front.
I was waiting for the fog to lift.
Roy, I was going to say, my mother used to do that at Sunday dinner. She'd have to hear everybody say they liked it, and then it
And
was
then she
always
feels
eat more,
important. Well, what she's done is screwed them.
is
And
what?
they don't know it.
Yeah.
And the more they oh, that's real good, Dad, Mom. That's really good. Can I have some more?
And if you didn't tell her, she'd say, "How do you like it?"
Yeah, but she feels a sense of
That's
glory.
her own. It was her way of being the center of it.
Yeah. I don't say that you should not make nice food for your family, but there's a sense of glory.
Yeah.
And the more she sees the kids eat, the happier she is. See, she feels like she's doing a service.
Okay.
Yes, it is a service, but it's down this way.
Yeah.
But you don't see it because all of the pleasure and the excitement.
Can we get back to the schizophrenia thing?
Yeah, yes, right.
Good, because
I wish somebody could just tell me why it's called schizophrenia. What does it mean?
schizo, I believe, is two or more. It's split. Being schit, you're split. And phrenia is, I believe, it's kind of like a phobia type of a, like if you're scared or something.
Yes, well,
Or something
it's
scary.
a really silly word for it.
Well, I
because
knew
it's
I-
always the same.
I knew I was possessed.
Yeah.
I knew something was very wrong with me, and I also
That's
knew,
schizophrenia.
even though,
But it's got the wrong name. It's called possession.
exactly, that's true.
Yeah.
And I checked myself into the mental hospital, as I said, you
They
know,
couldn't do anything.
seeking for help. And I knew they couldn't. And I told the head nurse, I says, I'm not going to find the help that I need here. Only God's going to be able to heal me. I was 19 years old and I was out the next
That's
day.
right.
She put me out. Well, didn't put me out, but I mean, she released me from there because something in her, you know, saw that something was okay with me as long as I had that. It didn't fix my life. I had a lot of tribulation along my lifetime. In fact, I started getting better when I heard you. That's when I started getting better.
And you're just fine, just as good as you can be now.
I am as good as I can be. And I,
And there's more to come.
oh, that would be very sweet.
Meaning that your whole life is going to be the same. And what I mean by the same, you are not going to be angry or resentment. You're going to, but the point is, you can't do that by yourself. You can't get rid of your emotion. If I say emotion is dangerous, you can hear that and either believe it or not believe it, but if you believe it, if you try to overcome it, you can't. Only God can save you from your emotions. And so you have to be still in order for that to happen. You have to be, what you need to be is not to be the trier of your emotion, not to be struggling with that emotion which is fit only for an animal. And when people have it, it is a conflict between the animal and the spiritual. That's where you have your anxiety. You have an anxiety, you have an animal nature, and the animal nature is sin, basically. But at the same time, you have an awareness, and the awareness is something's wrong. But what the something wrong is what everybody believes is good, and that's emotion. Emotion makes you human. It does just the opposite. And so once you come into the world, you come into the world, as I keep saying, over and over again, because it's a crisis to see that. And because when you come into the world, you're innocent. And if you could live up to 2 years old, and when you get to 2 years old, or you get near there, you can feel it before you can actually speak it. And so when you can speak it and to see it, you are crushed, because they're so powerful. And they're so programmed, just the way they're about to program you when they come into the world. Mm-hmm. And it goes on forever. But right along that side is food. Even food from, what's the word when you're suckling from your mother?
Nursing.
Yeah. You can actually control the way of behavior of a child. The Indians and American Indians, one group of them, they had different tribes. And one of them was able to understand what I'm just about to say or have been saying. They knew that what anger does. And everybody, everyone on earth, whether they realize it or not, in their functioning in the world, if they're cruel, they discover they have control over what is responding to that. And so the American Indians, certain tribes, the wife, the mother, who suckles the child, frustrates the child purposely. So, first of all, she gives it milk, and especially the male child. And then when the baby hungers again, and she doesn't do it. It's like Pavlov's experiment. You ring the bell, and the bell is related to food. And so the animal begins to, when the bell rings, there's food. At a certain point, they stop the bell from ringing, and they rang the bell, and the food wasn't there, and the animal's looking for it. And they ring the bell again, and there's food there again. And they play different variations of that until the animal becomes docile, controllable, mad. It's all kinds of problems that you can read up on it, because I don't remember all of them. But that could be applied to people when you ring the bell, But human beings can be much more skillful without even knowing they're skillful, without knowing they're doing something wrong. They're playing the same role.
Cruelty to children.
So what happens is, when the child gets food, and then when he's hungry, or he doesn't get food. Nothing. And then the mother, when the baby's crying, gives it food and pacifies it and loves the hate that's in the child, because the child is angry and hating it. But crying is something like hatefulness.
And the mother becomes the god.
That's right. And so what happens is they grow up to be murderers and killers. Mm-hmm. And the very same thing happens in our country in various ways. Mm-hmm. There's hundreds of ways to do that. Mm-hmm. All I understand is, if I'm a strong-minded person, and how I discovered hypnosis is that I could do it so easy. It's just my personality. My personality was simply, I've never had any emotions. And I've talked to you several times about my experience with Arnold. Well, is my cousin. I used to play with him. And one day he did something angry and mean, and I felt something in my solar plexus like a rock. And I said, where did that rock come from? How does words do this? Because it's words with emotion, with an energy in it. Mm-hmm. There's an energy field, And it got to me, but he didn't know what he was doing. But how I dealt with it was remarkable. I said, why is this? How can this be? Oh, well, I'll find out one day. That, if you could catch it in time, is what made me what I am today. In other words, I did not know my future was based on that. In other words, from that day forward, and even perhaps before that, because I was just enjoying my father, who was still alive, I used to play with the junk and the machinery and transformers, and I made all kinds of remarkable things. And he just let me alone with all the equipment. He is a lifeguard. I saw it he had an army jackets on and everything like that. He was too old to be in the Second World War. He was in the First World War, but he was a signal something or other. I can't remember because. But anyway, I played with all his toys, and I learned to unfold like a flower, doing all kinds of magic tricks and chemistries, and I'm just 8 or 9 years old. And I don't know where I'm going with that, going on in a distance. But I did not know, but intuition was there. And all I needed to say was, oh, well, I can't figure that out. So I left it behind. But I never forgot that moment. When I'm looking back, I did the same thing in every situation that came. Oh, I can't do anything about that. I'm okay. And the okay thing is so powerful. The fact that I'm not reacting, because I'm learning not to react. Because if I say, okay, I don't know what that is, I'm not being bothered by it. I've let it go. And I've been letting it go, and letting it go. And after a while, I didn't know I was letting anything go. And people were afraid of me. And no matter what happened to me in the military, in the military, I'm a Jewish person. And I'm not too popular, especially with the name Obermeister. Right? And so you would think, and what did happen, the first time I'm in the barracks, and this guy comes up, big guy, and he says, do this and do that. I say, you mind your own self. He says, he kicked me wanted to kick me in the groin. I saw it coming. I can always see ahead of time. I can see a man who wants to hit me. I can hit him first. I can read him. I always win. But it's only not because I'm cruelty. I see it coming. It's simple. I always see a fraction ahead. Just a fraction. Enough to keep. But if I'm emotional, you've lost that skill. And therefore you have to react. And you have to fight back. But then you lose. Because I was weaker than that man. I threw him through the window. Right through the window. And it's been that way with me wherever I went in the world. I never lost a fight. I'm not trying to brag. I never lost a fight. Only one time. And we were wrestling. It was not harm. And there was one time I came home with a bloody nose because I got, for a few moments, my daughter bought a car and it was really rotten. And I went up to the stairs to the person to make a point. And I took out my hand and went to whack him on. But he hit me first. See, he got his head of it. And I went and fell down the stairs, and I went home bleeding. And I said to my kids, you see what happens when you are willful? But after that, it went back to normal. I still fight, but it's if I can find a way to say it, if you try to irritate me, I can see the irritation, I can see the cruelty, but not feel the irritation. And other words, the person can yell and scream, and be like an animal, like an animal, and want to hurt me. But something stops them. Something stops them. And if they try to do something, I'm miles ahead of them. And look, for example, I'm only not trying to glorify myself. When I'm in South Africa, I get off the boat, waiting to go to Johannesburg. I'm a diamond cutter, and that's where I'm going to be doing a job in that city I just mentioned. I already forgot its name.
Johannesburg.
Yeah. And I'm looking in a jewelry store, and a black gentleman, I always call them gentlemen because they are, and he stops and looks into the jewelry store and looking, because I'm just seeing a nice diamond there, and that's my business. I'm waiting for a train, and this Dutch
Africana?
huh?
Africana?
Afrikaner, yeah, he knows better than me. He started to come up to that black gentleman, and I know he couldn't fight back, because if he fights back, he goes to jail, and not the bad guy. So it was very simple. I stepped in front of her and said to this big guy, yes, big, ugly guy, if you want to fight him, you have to come through me. And he turned around and went away. But the beauty of that is, I'm not sure if I'm making my points here, but this is a distraction from what I'm doing, and it may be helpful. I looked to the look in the eyes of that black gentleman, and it said, not all white people are bad. That was the meaning. But it's not glorious. I only remember the moment and saw the look in the eye, and the look in the eye of the bad guy. I could read him. I could read the thinking. And so if I have to use force, I'm way ahead of the game, and I'm ready to see it. And you don't see that I see. It's too bad for thee. Now, I want you to be this way. I didn't have to struggle with my emotions. There was a few mistakes I made over the period of years. It taught me, oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. Bang, see. I have to make some mistakes, especially when the Institute of Hypnosis, there were certain situations where I actually reacted to something. But it made it very clear when I went to the drugstore where they had milkshakes, I found myself reading the affair, what do they call it?
The menu.
The menu. Why am I reading this over and over again? Distraction. Oh, distraction. I got it. Went back. I'm okay. I learned my lesson. It's just a few times that way. And it just made it stronger. The minute you start to irrigate, the minute you start, the fraction, even if nobody's there and you're getting angry with a thought. In other words, you feel anxiety. So what you do is to start to remember a judgment, and you bring it up again. And then you judge the person that isn't there, is only in your head. And you keep on judging it and judging it and judging it. You're killing yourself. You can't forgive. But on the other hand, if you see that you're doing wrong, and then you go to the person and forgive him, that's wrong too. Because you're playing God. You're not sorry about it. If you were sorry about it and was aware, and God smiles on that, then you can go to that person and say it, but not with ego. The way I described it just a second ago, that's ego. I judge and I forgive. You can't do that. I can remember a story, and I think I brought it up before. A man came in to one of my seminars, and but so this is a story these are little stories I remember, and they mean a lot more than I'm saying. And he says, I was here 10 years ago, and you didn't take any notice of me. I said, I'm not here. You're not here just to me to love you and kiss up to you. I didn't even know who you are. You're sitting in the back somewhere, I'm sure. He says, yes, that's true, but can you forgive me? I resented you all these years, and it troubled him. I said, no, I can't forgive you because I didn't judge you. So you got a trouble with, if you have a trouble with resentment buried, you can keep calling upon that resentment. So when you have anxiety, you get rid of the anxiety by hating that person again, but he's not there. It's in your head. Does that mean something to you? And does that mean something to you? Or you didn't see what I was saying?
No, I understood what you said.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything to say, but
Did I run away from your point of view? I'm sorry.
No, not my point of view, but it began with this gentleman here when you asked him, about his presence.
Do you understand that you have a judgment?
Yes.
Okay, judgment is mine, saith the Lord. I pay back. You cannot play God. But the emotions you have, you've inherited. So you've inherited emotions, you've inherited sin. And you've inherited the fact that other people can control you. If you don't have an emotion, you can't be controlled. But how do you get rid of emotion? You can't. Because it is the nature of Adam when he fell from grace. He was cast out of that beautiful place on this earth. It's a beautiful place on this earth. It was cast out from that magical world. And when he was cast out, he had to take adjustment to the new world out there, and he began to have the kind of blood and thoughts and emotions like an animal. In other words, he left behind intuition. Well, not so much left because the intuition gives you anxiety. If you have intuition as a decent person, you always have anxiety over it, but you don't know what the anxiety is yet. You see, and you always give into it, and you can't help it because you've lost your relationship with the Most High, and you've given it to the Most Low, represented by the woman. And she's always wanting you to save her, but you can't save yourself. The tendency for every man in relationship with women, in friendship or fiendship or marriage, is what she wants, is what you want from her. You want love from her. Because when a man comes into the world from a woman and feeds and gives food to the child, she cannot know she's playing God. She cannot do it. It seems normal, but it's almost impossible to see that it's not normal. It takes a long time. See that? So this applies to you. How do you give up emotion to realize that you came into the world and we have to look, in your case, about your mother and father. Tell me about that.
Okay, my mother and father, it was like a real deep psychosis, horror that I lived in growing up as a child.
I know that.
And
I didn't have to ask you. Which one, I can guess which one you hate the most is your mother.
well, at this time, I feel like I know that the hate is there, but I've kind of got from meditating, I have an altitude above that.
Yes, but still, let me go back to the question. You may have gone above it, but was it your mother?
It's really hard to say because it was awful. My dad was awful too.
Yeah, they're both awful.
Yes.
But the one that's the most subtly awful is your mother.
Yes, that's true.
But that's, see that, because your father is a beast, but if your father was an appeaser, the woman would have charge either way,
Right.
because you're the extension of her and not extension of God. And you're bringing a child into the world and having lost your way without realizing it, because the whole system, all the generations do the same thing over and over and over again, thousands and thousands. So it becomes normal in every
Normal.
world part of the world. And there's forces in that world that understand politically how to keep you that way,
Yeah.
to encourage it and love you for it, and glorify you for it, like Obama.
Yeah.
He loved the worst in people. And the people appreciated that. Yeah. So, have I helped you in any way
Yes.
in these few minutes?
Yes. Yes, sir.
What have you seen?
You're just you're bringing up an awareness. It's something that I know. I know. I just haven't been able to get to that point yet. But you're really emphasizing and highlighting it so that I can take this home with me and start to.
You don't have to, but I prefer that you do not try to remember. I would just want you to listen. It goes through one ear, comes out the other one. And while I'm talking, you are becoming aware of it, but I don't want you to remember.
Okay.
I want you to just appreciate it. Oh, I see that.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, oh. And the next thing comes along. Oh, I see that. Oh, ho-hum. That's all. When my discussion is over, something has happened. Because you didn't interfere. You just let it come through your ears and say things that you knew you should have known, and you did know when you were a little boy. You're hearing me speaking to you, and Jesus is, how can I say it? Unless you become a little child again, you can no ways enter the kingdom.
Heaven.
So what I'm doing is just verifying the fact that I'm speaking about that you had it then. And at that moment, you were not guilty. In other words, you had your intuition, but you had no power to hold on to it. So your parents took it away like it was taken away from them. And everybody on earth does this, exactly. But if you lived in Hitler Germany, you dare not go on and become a person that you should be, because they'd kill you.
Yes.
They would. You've got to keep that to yourself. You have to stuff it down. And so stuffing it down, I mean, you really need to get away from that world. America has freedom of speech. That's different. You have the opportunity to know what freedom is. But you're not free now. And you'll never be free until you understand what you had as a little child. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
Feel better now?
Yeah,
A little bit, right?
clarity.
All right. Now,
Roy, I'm beginning to see all that now.
you're Johnny come lately.
Everything you just said, witness something. See, there's something in me, some little thing that's witnessing. It's
Here it
witnessing.
comes.
It just had accepted. There was an acceptance of what you say.
Yes.
And I tried to hold on to it,
No, don't.
and I couldn't.
No.
And I
The
see
big
that
mistake,
now.
the big mistake is to try anything.
Right. I
You-
was trying.
No. You
I embraced everything you said, though. There was something
that
in
will
me.
not. It will only make you worse. You're not going to get better.
I've had to let it go now
No,
through the
you see,
meditation.
all you need is to hear it.
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
But you don't have to say that. I'm just trying to. I've got to say it in language, but it isn't language. I'm trying to get you to say, would you mind saying that again? And I'll show you where you went wrong. Go ahead, say it again.
In the beginning, I was holding on
What does that mean?
to everything you said. There was some little thing inside, and it liked what you said. It accepted. And then I started to get sick. And when you came out with that 7-minute, I embraced that. And in that little part where you said about the energy, that there's an energy, and I knew there was something I was holding on to. It was your energy. The energy that came into my hand when I went from finger to finger, and I embraced the word energy. And little by little, it changed me. And I thought, what is that doing? And it was changing me.
Well, I've got a whole new story here. Where is the problem? I thought.
It
Where's
wasn't
wrong?
the
You
intellect.
something you're holding on to. I think the words were holding on to it. Is that? I was looking for that.
That was my intellect.
I have a bad memory, but not that bad.
I see now that was my intellectual part of me
That's
that
right.
was holding on.
Yes.
And then I
you
started hearing.
must not consider holding on. In other words, in your mind, you are now willful. I'm going to hold
saw
on
that.
to that.
Yes.
You can't say that. There's no language. You don't want to have language there.
No.
Leave it alone.
Well, now, since I've had to sit around and do nothing because I broke my back in 2 places, and it started, it was saying,
Did you get angry over that? Did you get upset over that?
there was fear
Yeah, no.
because the pain is so bad. I was fighting to endure, and I took the pain pills, and that
You went backwards.
I went backwards.
That's right. You wouldn't have needed those. You make your mistake over and over. Of yourself, you can do
Nothing.
nothing.
The
it
Father within
means
me,
what it
he
says.
has to do it.
Just
Yeah.
listen to the 7-minute exercise
Yes.
and just watch the twinkles, little twinkles in your eyelids.
Yes.
That's all you need to do. All you need to do is nothing.
Is nothing, and I'm having to do nothing.
No, but if you try not to do nothing, you can't get away with it. It's
It's forcing me
you know,
to do nothing. I'm
But
not
you see-
able to.
I wish I could explain it. You got me here trying to find a way to find the words.
May I?
Maybe our blonde lady here who can make a point.
There's a scene in the movie Jesus of Nazareth,
Uh-huh.
and of all the productions, I think this one is the best. Nicodemus comes to Jesus in the grove of
Who
olive.
was it? Because I have
Nicodemus
He's the high priest,
who?
the high priest in Jerusalem.
Nicodemus.
Oh, Nicodemus.
comes to Jesus in the grove of olives,
Yeah.
and he is questioning Jesus about being born twice, because Jesus says you have to be born again. He says, how can you enter the womb of your mother and be born twice? He says that doesn't make sense. And Jesus explains to him that it's not that kind of being born again. It's kind of like, he says it's like the wind. And he walks through the trees, and the wind is falling through the trees. And he says the Holy Spirit is like the wind. It comes and it goes. And there is no hanging on to any of it. But if you're blessed, it'll kind of, he doesn't say brush your cheek, but that's the way I think of it. That the Holy Spirit will bless you. And it's not anything that you
There's
can hang
nothing
on
you
to.
there's nothing for you else to do.
You can't hang on to the wind.
No.
Was his analogy. And this movie is just wonderful, Mr. Masters, but it's kind of like what you're telling us. That, you know, when you're speaking to us, you're trying to convey not only an idea, but some kind of a bread for our souls. And it comes and it goes, and you can't hang on to this. You're blessed when it just kind of like goes through.
You don't know what's going to happen next.
You never know.
You don't want to know.
Because it goes.
You don't want to know
And
what's
it
going to happen
comes back
next.
and it feeds you.
That's right.
And then it goes again. And then it comes back and it feeds you a little bit more.
You become more noble.
Yes, little by little, though, it's not like, to me, it has not been like lightning bolts, although I have had antipathies that have just like, wow, that's pretty cool, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But most of it is just softness,
Yes,
like the wind.
What you have is a big fat ego.
nothing.
You've always been an appeaser.
Yes.
You've always been a lover.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but you're loving yourself to death.
It is loving me.
You know,
to
you
death.
see, what it, what did she say?
Loving me to death.
I couldn't hear this. You're laughing so much.
Loving me to death is what you said.
Yeah, yes.
That was very,
You know what it is?
What?
It's false belief. It's when I was 2 and up, I went to Sunday school. My mother was a teacher.
2 years old?
Little, she took me because she was the teacher.
Oh.
And singing Jesus Loves Me, This I Know was in,
But you didn't know.
but I didn't know, but I thought I did. I grew up with that in my brain.
Oh, now here we are right now.
I grew with that in my brain.
It never worked.
Yeah,
It never worked saving you, did it?
it didn't work.
What if I could say that you could walk through hell and become strong,
It thinks
and
it
become
can.
stronger?
It thinks it can. It does.
Yeah, you got
It's
you
in-
got an
it's
it,
been
you got
in
an
me
it,
all this
you, No,
time.
you got an it in you.
Yeah,
You have an it in you.
it.
Well,
you're even identifying.
Yes. That's.
separate.
It's
I don't
had a-
like
it's
I
had
don't
its
like
hold
it's.
on me.
I don't like it's. Come out it. That's it. Now. Out. In Jesus' name. Out. See this cross? You're scared of it. You're programmed by this. Like everybody is broken, is programmed. So you're no different. Ha ha. Out you come.
It's been in there
Forgive her.
this time.
You have found in a few moments redemption. You have redemption. There's nothing for you to do accept it. And you don't even know what you've accepted, but it will work anyway. Be still. Stay calm. No, that dark side has a name. Tell me, dark side, what's your name? What do you call yourself? What do you call yourself? I will burn you with words. Get out of her. Go into a dog or a pig. Go find one. Go. Going. 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 Calm. Calm. The light comes through you. The light comes through you and takes away emotion. You will have no emotions. No more. Then you will have found your origin of being. Origin of being is to compel you in one way and love you in the opposite way.
Yes.
Do you understand, my dear young lady?
Yes.
You're free. Free.
Want to be free.
You are free. Stop doubting me. He is in me talking to you. You can see I don't have a good vocabulary anymore, but I have something deeper. I don't need all those words. You don't need all those words. You just need to hear it and accept it, just like you lost it and accepted it upside down. When you were a child, you didn't know any better. You've been forgiven. You were forgiven when you were born, because when you were born, it was put into you, but it wasn't you.
Words are telling me that's words.
What?
They were words, just false words.
No, but words no more affect you. Words do mean nothing. You're only what you see, but as you had as a child. You had a child and you could see cruelty and injustice, but just don't hate it. In other words, the love that you're looking for is within you, not outside, not in language. I have found the language of no language. And you will understand without thoughts. And you will not know what you're about to do. But then it will come, and you will have done it before you realized you have. You don't have to look forward or past. Just wait and see. Have you ever heard of wait and see? Wait and see. Nothing more. And it's automatically, effortlessly, you have the path. Something within you, spiritual, the light that made the world, that little piece is inside you forever. And you don't have to worry. You don't have to figure out anything. You don't have to love. You don't have to hate. That's nonsense. Of yourself, you can do nothing. And that means nothing. Nothing. No thoughts, no thing that's talking to you, nothing. You're just free. And when you're free, you will see. Free from all the confusion of words and parents and schools. Gone. Means nothing. Who do you trust, me or the other thing? Other thing, wake up. Talk to me. Talk to me. Come on, you coward. Come on. Come on. Talk to me, you little coward. Come on. You can't speak to me, can you? You're inferior. Doubt yourself. Go ahead and doubt yourself. And maybe you become a good person. But you can't be in him or her. You can't be in her. Even if you were a good person, you're done. You are the one that's confused and confounding forever.
My mother.
And she didn't know any better. Now you can let her go. Now, you see, you can let her go.
God.
She couldn't help it. Now, God knows you couldn't help it, and now you're getting better. You understand?
Yes.
Okay, so since you've got it, you need to forgive her for it, but it's his forgiveness through you. It's his forgiveness through you. So you're not forgiving her. He is forgiving her through you. You can't take the credit. You need to understand that too. Here I am.
Is that releasing her mother as well,
With-
Mr. Masters?
Ask her. But she's crying right now.
She didn't know.
She didn't know.
She didn't.
No, just like you didn't know.
Oh.
Now you know what it feels like to be her. See? This is okay now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, you made a mistake. So what? She made a mistake and didn't get to know that she made a mistake. She died before that. She's in hell.
She had kids.
And you're going to be in hell if you're not careful. Because the purpose of life is to live forever. And I don't know what that is yet. But I know it's so. Do you believe you're going to live forever? Do you believe that you're born to live forever?
It's telling me through the meditation, it's showing me all these things.
You just see it. That's all you have to do is see it. You know, oh, that's it. Oh, I see that. Oh, I see that. Every moment.
Yes.
But you don't have to have any energy. You don't have to have struggle. You don't have to think about things. You don't have to look into the future.
Yes.
It will show you in the future if it's necessary. It knows what to do. He knows what to do.
He does.
Or the spirit that is put into you,
Yes.
representing him.
He's changing my heart
Yes.
to know. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Going,
Yes.
go away. Go away, dark side. You stay calm. Calm forever. No more emotion. You don't know what emotion is anymore. It doesn't exist. Stop shivering. Stop shivering!
That's
Don't be afraid.
okay.
You listen to me.
Afraid of my father.
I am.
I was afraid of my father.
Huh? Say that again.
I was afraid my father betrayed us.
So what? What good?
I held on to
Why
the-
can't you let him go just the same way as you let your mother go?
I,
Don't you understand? Neither one of them understood.
yeah, I know.
And you judged them.
I did.
Uh-huh.
Him,
And both.
I,
Both?
yeah.
Yes, of course.
But I thought she was the good one.
She wasn't.
Yeah.
She was the worst. The woman is the worst.
I have that knowing.
Yeah, the woman is the
From
worst.
you,
No,
yes.
the woman is the worst. She needs to be saved by the man. But he is the extension of her, so how can he save her? Unless he finds God, like you are finding him now.
Yes.
But see, I am a man, and I can take the place of your father. Because the father of your father is in me. So therefore, as a woman, I can assure you that Roy has God in him.
That energy.
Listen, listen, listen. What I'm saying is from my Creator to talk to you this way, gently. I can be firm, but there's no emotion in it. I'm speaking to you without emotion, without preparing what I'm saying. See? And that's how you should live. And all you need to do is listen to it. And don't try to remember it, but just to recognize it and embrace it. Embrace it, that's all. Hey, that's really neat. You can be sweet like that. It doesn't take a complex vocabulary. Can't you say, wow, I'm getting better? Can you see it? Can you see you coming towards the light? But you have to trust this voice and not the other one. The other one's a liar. And you turn on it and you see it. And see you're shivering, but it's not you that shivers. It's it that shivers because it's afraid that you see it. I'm helping you to see it and not put any effort whatsoever.
That's why I'm losing my sight.
That is correct.
Yes.
Can you let it go now? Stop shivering. See your hand. What is your hand wanting? What's it reaching out for? Let it just calm. Just let it fall by your side. Let it fall. Let it relax. Let your whole body relax and no longer subject to the world. No person can ever touch you. No person, so if people are rude, you just see they're rude. That's all. If they pretend, or you can see that their affection is pretentious, you will see it, and then you don't have to own yourself to it. You don't have to answer to it. You can see a good person, and that's all you need to see. You can see if a person is hateful. You can see that he's not a bad person, and so you don't judge him, and he will feel your lack of judgment. He will feel something that's flowing through you, very similar that flows through me, to you. So you have nothing to do. So if you, in the presence of a person that's sick, and you have the energy just by standing there and having a word or two, the person becomes better. And if the person isn't better, they sort of see there's something different in you. That's all. And that something different is going to help that person to wake up. You don't have to do anything, you have to be. And an occasional word. I can use lots of occasional words because there's a lot of things to be said to you. But generally speaking, if we met in the street or had a lunch together, you would feel, even if I never said a word, I was different. And and you would be so affected by it that you'd either go crazy, get upset, walk away from the table, or sit quietly and listen. So that's how you will be. You will not know. You will not know where this comes from and you don't want to care about where it's come from, I can tell you, you are coming from where I'm coming because you love what I'm saying. You love where I'm coming from. And this love is saving you. You don't have to do anything. If you try, you die. Wake up! You okay now? Free? No more problem. You don't have to do any more. Just enjoy your life. Look at the flowers and look at the trees and just look at the leaf and say, how did it get there? How did it get there? Don't you see? All around you is created by God. And when you see a flower, don't just say, oh, that's a nice flower. I want to put it in my bedroom. No. Look at a flower. You don't have to pick it if you can't eat it.
I picked it.
Leave it alone.
It lasts longer.
Huh?
It will last longer.
Yes. Leave it alone to do what it needs.
Yes.
But the thing is, when you're hungry, it's not the same thing if you have a flower and you could eat, it's an eating flower, then you can eat it. But if it's a flower of beauty, admire it and don't kill it.
It's a Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, where you got that from? How are you doing?
Well.
Are you affected by this?
Not at this time. Oh, excuse me. Not at this time. I saw you at a seminar 20 years ago in Philadelphia, and you walked by, and when you raised it up, this incredible fear went up, and you lowered it and went back down, and you moved on because.
May I touch
Yes.
you? May I touch this with you?
Yes, sir.
Could you come up? Do you feel anything?
Yeah, I feel something.
What is it?
I just feel it's kind of fear related.
It's the fear. You're not afraid. You are not afraid. It is afraid. Can you distinguish one from the other? Can you see that its fear is not your fear?
It's fear. It's not.
If it's your fear, you try to struggle with it.
It makes sense.
But it has a fear, and it puts it in you. It has thoughts, and it puts it in you, and you think it's your thoughts. You have to be disconnected from that. You see one from the other. You don't have a fear. It's a fear, but it's afraid that what this cross represents and what I represent is telling you the truth, and it can't handle it, and it shivers, and it's upset, it's fearful, but you are not. Understand, this is not you that's afraid. You do not have a fear. But the point is, it's a very simple thing. The thing that's in you is invisible. It's a spirit. And there's a good spirit and a bad spirit. The good spirit is me speaking to you about this. The other one comes from a different place, a dark hole, so to speak. And as long as you are not able to understand what fear is and faith is, it can turn you to doubt.
Yes.
And the doubt will belong to it. And you've been in doubt for a long time, haven't you?
Stinking thinking.
That's right. So ever since you were born, you were confused about many things. Teachers, mothers, fathers, experts. From now on, you need to understand that, and you don't have to struggle. if you feel the fear, that's very important. But if you love truth, which I know you do, and you've come a long way, but you've sort of stepped it aside for quite a few years.
Yeah.
See, but this will go away, because the food is also, how can I say it? The food is a drug. But when you have given up your fear, the food is not a drug anymore, because you don't get a sense of worth from it anymore. The reason why you are bloated and you're going to die from this, is because food is twofold. A drug is better, less powerful than food.
Okay.
Half the country is killed by food. It's really just the extension of Paradise Lost. See that?
Yes.
He could eat of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, but when he failed, he became part like an animal, and eats like an animal, in conflict with its human.
That's big.
No more conflict. Food shouldn't be that important. Take it easy. And slowly but surely that will go away. And you will become healthy again. Okay. I kissed him.
Holy kiss.
That made him feel better.
I wanted to comment briefly, and I've seen in my life the tree of good and knowledge of good. When I was listening to the thoughts, it always would give me answers, and I always had something to say, and that was related to pride. You know, I wanted to be something in people's eyes, but as I saw that the thoughts were not me, there were often times where I don't have anything to say.
Everybody has thoughts that are not them.
Yes.
And I just spoke to you. Why don't you grasp, I'll be back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you grasp that the fear and the doubt came from a long line of broken people who didn't know they were broken. And so Jesus says, right there, he screams, he yells in his agony, don't hate the hurter. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Once that is established that nobody knows what they're doing, but they think they do, the thinking that they do is what will kill them, because they'll keep thinking they will do, and it doesn't work. And then they try not to do it, and it still makes it worse, trying to not do it. Yeah.
Can I say one quick thing, just to finish? I forgot. Okay.
That struck a nerve with me. I had some road rage this week, and it was very good. It was a learning experience. I went to pull out, and I saw traffic, and it seemed like there was enough room for me to get onto merging traffic. And I slowed down and actually stopped, and the person passed me on the right, and that just pressed a button in me, and I was angry. I wanted to go after that person and maybe bump their bumper or something. You know, these thoughts are going through your head. Oh, it turned out to be a woman, and I saw her at a stop sign, and she looked at me in the mirror, and she smiled, and she put her fingers out the window, and she just waved. And when she did that, that took away all the anger, because I didn't realize it then, but I realize it now, that she wasn't in control when she did that. And so I was trying to think, later on, I was thinking, I want to stop rushing around. I want to stop being in a hurry all the time. And I find myself on the freeway, and I'm trying to get past this Cadillac Escalade that's won't move out of the fast lane and let me pass. So I tried to pass it I went around, and there was room on the right lane, and so I went around to
The
try.
question, what was the hurry?
I was a luncheon date. I
No,
wanted
what
to
you're
be
saying,
there.
no, what you're saying though, is the tendency to hurry.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So-
that's a sickness.
Let me just finish this. So, as I got over to pass this Cadillac, she wouldn't let me in. She speeded up so I couldn't get in and get past. Later on, I got past, and I looked back in the mirror, and she waved to me. Now, she didn't wave this way. She
But
didn't wave this
I
way.
don't know where you're going with it.
She waved like this.
I know, but still, where you
It was.
going? What did you learn?
I learned that it was just like the devil saying, aha, I got you again.
Look,
I got you again.
what you need to do is, if you can't pass the car, you just don't pass the car. And leave it at that. And maybe that if you're delayed, it might be a good thing. You can't see the future. And so let's make a story up. So you get upset. When you get there, you forgot what you're going to say. You always say the wrong things. But let me go the other way. If you see something that you can't do, it's not possible, and it's not wise to be resentful, and just wait, because everything has a meaning. You might find on the other end, because of that whatever it slowed you down and lost the 5 minutes, on the other end, there will be a reason for it. And you say, wow, I stopped here, and I couldn't pass there, and I was in a hurry. But if you weren't in a hurry, I can guarantee you that just in the principle, that's what I'm trying to say, because I've got to find a way to say it. The 5 minutes, you might not have smashed into a little kid on the street. There's hundreds of things that could happen. But if you stay calm, whatever is the pressure, which would have been a pressure, is a virtue. And the virtue has an extension of magic to make the future differently from the future you would have had you got angry for nothing at all. And
believe
forgetting
that.
what you see. Am I trying to? Does that? Is it clear enough?
I wanted to add a story. It fits in perfect what he's saying. I was going somewhere in my new car at one time, and I was heading towards the traffic light, and the light was green, and the thought crossed my mind, you better hurry up so you make the traffic light. And I saw the thought, and it just sat there, and I didn't deal in it. I just said, I'll be there when I'll be there. And so I drove, and I go to make my left turn. I still have the green light, and someone coming the other way didn't see the light. And if I had been 1 second faster, I would have been completely broadsided and probably killed. And as it was, they just
You
tipped
don't know
the
what
end of
you're
my
missing.
car.
You don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, in that instant, it said, that's the difference between life and death, believing those crazy thoughts that just come. They sound perfectly sane. They go across, and you just see them go across, and you don't know if you're going to do them or not. That's the magic of survival.
It's what you're about to experience if you're going to follow that road is pure magic. I have trials and tribulations all the time, from morning till night, with my wife, basically, and other things. What does worry do? Nothing. Stay calm. It's called trusting God.
Faith.
It's being calm and not knowing what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm waiting for more orders. And it will come in the moment. Always come in the moment. You should at least expect yourself saying it. I took a whole gang on. Most of you know the story. The gang, there was about 20, 30 of them, living in a house with just an empty lot next to me. The police couldn't catch them doing it. It bothered everybody that was there. It was a dead-end street with cars going boom, 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 like this, you know. They went up and down with springs, and it's sneering at you. I don't know what caused me to go in the middle of the street and stand there. I didn't know. The car was streaming and I'm sitting there. Right in front of it, stopped me right there. And it got him upset. I go back to the sidewalk, see the big guy. Who's the big guy? Who is in charge of this gang? I did. He comes towards me at high noon. And I overcame him. I said, I know, I can make you do what I want to do. He says, you go. He's a big guy. I said, I'm just going to tell you, I know I can make you do anything. You're going to do that? Yes, I can, because you're so stupid. Now, that word is stupid, and he is stupid. I'm telling you the truth, and it upset him. I said, are you angry? He says, yes. I said, can you get more angry? Do you get more strength from anger? Something like that. And he got angry and angrier. And then I saw him raise his hand ahead of time. It was like here. I said, that's what I was going to make you do. I said, that's what I made you do. And it's a strange thing. The minute he heard us said, that was it, I was going to make you do that, his hand froze, couldn't move it. I got whacked in one, but it didn't. He ran with his hand in the air and got on his motorcycle. Could barely get onto the handlebars. But it's magic, just magic. It's not me. That wasn't me. Look at how did it happen? I don't remember having any energy or puffing and getting angry. It just happened. It's just, that's it. It's that way with everything. I like it. I like not knowing what to do. I wait for him to show me.
You start to get an appetite for being helpless.
Yes.
In a way, and not knowing what to do. But your appetite is for that, because you know that's the
But
state.
it's a strength.
It's a strength.
It's a
to
beautiful
everyone else.
appetite. It's food for the spirit. I don't take credit for it. I like the story, because the story has to be real and not boasting. That's what I'm saying. I can say that same story over and over again because it's really happened. And there are many others. I can't remember them all. Well, how are you feeling?
Lots going on inside.
What? You've been coming a long time, but it took a long time to bring you this way.
Yeah,
Your problem should be getting better now. You got these lots of little things because you've been dying slowly.
I know.
And every time you got upset about the symptoms and the pains, you get resentful.
I did.
Correct. That's it. And try
I
to fix it.
resented being blinded in
You
one
get angry
eye.
because why am I like this? Why am I like this? Do I deserve this kind of thing? And you get resentful. No. Just
It was the lust in my being from my father, from fearing him and hating him.
that's all you have to do.
It's showing me things.
Don't say it. Showing you things, we stop there,
Okay.
okay?